Greetings. Hello. We are preparing for our live poetry reading for recovery and healing. So we're getting ready to start at 12 if you would like to stick around. How do you pin this post? What's funny? Ooh, this doesn't work. I'm trying to make it where you can see me. Wait, I'm gonna stay still. It ain't gonna work. Do this number right here. Greetings, peace. Peace. Namaste, assalamu alaikum, malafia. We're gonna get started at noon. So I want to do these live poetry readings to create a different form of church in a sense. I'm not a 7-day Adventist, but I want to do this on a Saturday evening when people are kind of still in bed chilling and offer church service via a poetic style. So I'll be hosting these every Saturday at noon. If you all would like to attend next Saturday and on Wednesday, I hold a like poetic Bible study specifically for anybody, but particularly for particularly strong black women that have encountered sexual assault and that are seeking healing. So it is 12 o'clock. Let us go ahead and start. And I thank Spirit, I thank Ancestors, the universe, for those that will come while we are actually in the midst of this. I want to start off with a meditation and a meditation of libation in a sense. A libation is a form of prayer. Basically what you need for a libation is you need a glass bowl such as this and some type of cylinder or container to pour water into your bowl. Water is healing energy. Water is feminine energy. It's feminine energy because it's associated with birth. So anytime birth is occurring, anytime growth is occurring, it has occurred because of water. Water has been the surrounding elements to help its growth and to help its birthing process. Water is also a container. It holds, right? It's a host. It holds, it carries. So whatever we declare water to be, as we pour our libations to actually pour, that is what we're giving birth to. That is what we're requesting to grow in our lives, and that is what we are praying for. So because nobody is here yet, I would typically ask people, what is it that you need right now? And I will pour a libation for you as a form of prayer. So if you have something that you need, go ahead and drop it in the comment box. Whether you need peace, you need clarity, you need to learn how to trust your intuition, you need space, whatever it is that you need, go ahead and drop it in the comment space. So I just pour a collective libation for everybody during COVID, because right now we need to trust our intuition. Ashe. We need more clarity and peace and healing energy. We need spiritual prosperity, so I pour water for that. Ashe. We need to understand that it's not a singular thing, that we are not singular beings. We are collective, that God is actually they, them, us, and we, that we are collective and we commune together. So I pray and pour water for understanding that we are indeed a collective. Ashe. And I may pour water throughout this service as well. And what you hear playing is a beautiful chorus in the background. And I'm going to keep that going. So now we did our meditation. Let's move with our first movement, our first poem, which is coming from Luke 4:18, when Jesus said, when Yeshua said, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim release to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to let the oppressed go free." What is your affirmative statement? Asks Bell Hooks, because she notes that healing occurs when there is an affirmative statement, or I suggest an affirmative action or response. But what troubles me is that many of us have nothing affirmative. It's not that we choose not to, but the sense of unworthiness drowns many of us into the seas of hopelessness. How can we drown and be affirmative? Because it would seem affirmative actions would elevate you, or in popular language now, it will raise your vibrations so much so your drowning becomes obsolete and you're simply floating in the water. You're maintaining your balance while breathing simultaneously. You learn to master the element opposed to the element mastering you. This is the purpose of affirmative action, spaces, and demeanors. It denotes the mastering of something, even if the process has yet to begun. Or perhaps the process begins when you step into affirmative action, when you step into your agency, meaning your voice, your truth, your story, your theology, or whatever it is that you own. In Luke 4:18, Yeshua stated, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim release to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to let the oppressed go free." This was his affirmative action. This was his declaration. With these words, he placed himself on solid ground. With these words, with his agency and the understanding of his purpose, he initiated healing. There was no need to wait for healing. He was healing. Healing lives in his divinity. Healing was grafted into his fingerprints. And so it is with you, beloved. With this statement, he took power into his own hands. He believed, "This is what I shall do." What shall you do, beloved? Where is your agency? What are the elements of your agency, meaning your voice, your truth, your story, that's seeking to liberate you? Your agency can heal you if you make space for it to live. If you dare to remember, so you can rethink and acquire freedom from the power you unconsciously or were forced to submit to. Don't you want to be free? Aren't you tired of getting by? It's time for you to get free. Will you choose to recover, to rejoin, to realign to your authentic self, your true self? It all starts with you. It begins with an affirmative response. Use your agency. Do you want to reclaim all that was stolen from you? Do you want to rethink the theology, the messages from the pulpit that denied you, that made you feel some type of way? Do you want to recreate how you perceive your inner child by giving him grace so that he probably didn't have a childhood? Do you want to remember who you really are behind the mask that you wear? If you answered yes, beloved, to any of these, your desire is to recover. Ashe and amen. And I pour water for our desire to recover. Now I offer you these womanist wordings. Womanist wordings, A lot of you thinking like, what is that? Dr. Karen Baker Fletcher defined womanist wordings as, hold on, because I don't want to lie. Let me look. I got it right here. Hold on. Let me pull it up real quick. Womanist wordings are hold on, y'all. I'm gonna find it. Okay, here it is. Dr. Karen Baker Fletcher defined womanist wordings as womanist wordings is a form of talk that synthesizes the heart, body, mind, and spirit. Womanist wordings is a form of talk that synthesizes the heart, body, mind, and spirit. So, in essence, it's talk derived from the experiences of Black women, right? And the word womanist was cultivated by Alice Walker. And in some, it's a 4-part definition. I encourage you to Google it. But in some, one of the popular things that womanism is known for is that it centers the words, works, deeds, and experiences of Black women and other women of color. So therefore, Dr. Karen Baker Fletcher came up with this term, womanist wordings. And I offer you these womanist wordings from Audre Lorde. And she says, when we speak, we are afraid. Our words will not be heard nor welcome. But when we are silent, we are still afraid. So it is better to speak, remembering we were never meant to survive. Again, and when we speak, we are afraid, and our words will not be heard nor welcome. But when we are silent, we are still afraid. So it is better to speak, remembering we were never meant to survive. Ashe. And let us pour water for our ancestor, Audre Lorde. Ashe. It is fair to say that rejection and death go hand in hand. After reading Isaiah's scroll, after reconciling, recreating the words of Isaiah, Jesus encounters resurrection and possibly death. He renders words to the people, illustrating a canvas for their thoughts, prophesying their suspicions while understanding his rejection. Because he couldn't perform miracles in his own town, for he wasn't received as a Messiah, Jesus mentions Elijah at this moment in his journey, and I assume, based on the need to parallel, Elijah wasn't received as a prophet in Israel. In the days of Elijah, he performed rituals of healing outside of Israel. He passed by many houses of Israel and approached people outside of their culture, like Naaman. Did not Jesus do the same with the Samaritan woman or the paralyzed man by the pool of Bethsaida? To be a prophet is to encounter rejection. When prophets are misunderstood, they're not well received. When prophets are misunderstood, they're not well received. Perhaps the conviction of religiosity opposed to the conviction of the Spirit governs the heart of humanity. If this is so, we don't weep, we don't commit to affirmative action until a prophet has transitioned. Lord, have mercy on us. Selah, and let us pour water for the prophets. In remembrance, let us pour water for the prophets. He tells his own story that a prophet isn't welcome in his own home. Jesus knew it is better to speak, remembering that we were never meant to survive. He operates in a futuristic moment, declaring what will be. He's not surprised. He's a few steps ahead. Consequently, the people attempt to take him to a cliff and throw him to his doom, but he slipped away. Why? Because Jesus knew it was better to speak, remembering that he was never meant to survive. Yeshua is encountering rejection. Rejection is a stone cold beast. The feeling it brings is like rocks piling in our belly, and the only thing that's accessible is to bend over to relieve the pressure of the weight. Bend down, pressed down, oppressed by the weight of political and spiritual rejection. Side note, was Jesus meant to survive? Questioning ourselves, how can we get these rocks out of our belly? These rocks are weapons of rejection set against us. They were set against us, set against me, because we were never meant to survive. The trouble in the text is the trouble we encounter now as strong black women or as women or men. Trigger warning, that has encountered sexual domestic trauma. As a strong black woman, emotional suppression has helped me to reject vulnerability, but in this rejection lives the paradox of wanting to be free, to be vulnerable, but cautioning if my truth will be used against me, cautioning if I will appear weak and what will other strong black women think of me. And this cautioning via my mask and armor is a survival tactic. We're sure of the strong black woman. I'm not sure of the possibility to be free, because I'm always reminded that I wasn't meant to survive. Breonna Taylor, Ashe. Let us pour water. We wear our masks because when we speak, we are afraid our words will not be heard nor welcome. Selah. As a strong black woman living with sexual trauma, which influenced me to reject my body, to reject the notion of healthy and sexual, reject the notion of healthy sexual exploration. Sexual trauma was the cornerstone that helped me to reject my worth. I believed that I was only worthy of sex, the place where my assaults live. This is a trouble in the world, and lately via healing power, I was able to declare without shame. It wasn't just one assault. It wasn't just one assault. It wasn't just two. Nor was it three, but it was four. Accustomed to the feeling of sexual violence, we often forget how often we are sinned against. Accustomed to the feelings of sexual violence, sexual abuse, sexual harassment, we often forget how often we are sinned against via sexual violence. So it is better to speak, remembering we were never meant to survive. Pedophilia, sexual abuse never intended. Pedophilia, sexual abuse never intended for any of us to survive, that is, to receive ourselves fully. We experience rejection, not cultivated by us, but by the injustice demanding us to be strong black women, the injustice that robbed us of knowing our bodies, our worth, our sexual innocence, and healthy sexual exploration. The mask of the strong black woman indirectly encourages to reject our truest self. But wait, hold up, she's been good to us. She's given us a means to survive, relatability, success, a way to be seen, noticed, and respected. Life in the midst of death-dealing environments, a strategy for personal esteem and protection. She has given us preparation, a way to prepare for potential threats. But she is costly. Our well-being is at risk, and the well-being of those in the text, those before Jesus, was at risk as well. If they were properly cared for, why did Jesus come? Jesus, a man rejected by his own people, provided an inclusive declaration through his journey. Amid rejection, agency is imperative because it focuses our intentions and therefore influences our mindset, and therefore our actions shift. There was no justice for the people Jesus spoke to. In today's time, where's the justice for strong black women? When and where can she rest? When will her identity fail to be an inherent portion of American culture? When will women and men fail to be ostracized or placed on trial when they speak about sexual assault or harassment? Rejection was the trouble in the text. The trouble today, right now, is that black women really don't have a home. Accounts of sexual violence are still silent. Where is our safe place? Ashe. Let us pour water for the creation of more safe spaces for marginalized women of color and for marginalized people that have encountered sexual violence. Ashe. I offer you this call to worship. Hold on to your methods of survival, but create new ways to live. If you want to reconcile with yourself, you must learn to tell your truth, even if they call you a liar. You have the choice to not speak among deaf ears, but in a safe space where you're heard, felt unjudged, and received fully. In a safe place, you don't have to ask if you can fully show up. The space confirms that you can. A safe space will understand when you speak you are afraid, but your words will be heard and welcome. A safe space will understand why you were silent and why you were afraid. A safe space will confirm it is better to speak, remembering you were never meant to survive, and therefore a safe space will give you tools to live and help you to lament and salah. Let us now pour water for our healing. Ashe. I offer you a moment of praise with this truth. You have grace, meaning well-deserved favor to recover. Again, I offer you a moment of praise with this truth. You have grace, well-deserved favor to recover. Jesus' statement, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim release to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to let the oppressed go free. Is a declaration of recovery. It illustrates the needs for healing. It speaks to those that have no voice but steadfastly prays for release, for freedom, for justice. Yet the Messiah came to reconcile, to realign, to rejoin us back with God, and because he came, we are deserving of favor. I thank God manifested God's self as the Messiah, therefore coming to understand what it means to live in the paradox of being fully divine and fully human. Yes, we are fully divine and fully human, just as the Messiah, capacities that complement but often contradict one another. So we deserve grace, we deserve favor, which can be space and time to understand what it means to live in such a paradox while desperately waiting in our divinity to exist again fully with God. Ashe. This is the peace that I pass to you. Favor. With this favor, be unafraid to question God. Favor can be your resting place. Work, vomit as much as you please, holding no restraints outside of honesty. You are in relationship with God. You possess favor so you can recover. You can align with your authentic self. You can reclaim your body and your time. I know the world has got you sick and tired of being sick and tired. Share these feelings with God. You have favor, space, time, and privilege to do so. Many survivors of sexual assault sit in the space of trying to make sense of their assault through their faith. But how can you adequately have faith when you believe you're undeserving of God's favor? Favor isn't only space, time, and privilege, but an invitation given by God, an invitation to question not only God, but the text, the Bible, or whatever sacred text you adhere to that either labeled your desire, that labeled your assault, either okay, or as a punishment, or as not a big deal, or influence you to believe that violence is what you should expect, what you deserve as a black woman or a woman, as a black person, as a woman or a queer individual. You have favor, which wasn't meant for you to solely survive, but to live. How can we live when you don't ask the questions? How can we live when we don't take affirmative action? How can we live when we know we need to recover, but fail to gather understanding? How can we live when we remain silent, opposed to speaking our truth? The recovery offered by Jesus was a declaration, but also space for you, for we, for us to receive whatsoever our needs are. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim release to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to let the oppressed go free. Why? The oppressed that lived with Jesus were afraid to speak. They knew their words would not be heard or welcome among the elite, but Jesus knew that they were afraid in their silence. So via his statement, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he's anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim release to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to let the oppressed go free. Were the words they would remember, which aligned with Jesus' actions of justice, to remind them that they were never intended to survive, but to live. You are not intended to survive, but to live. Let us pour water for that truth. Ashe. I offer you this benediction. With the pieces of you that are hardest to hold, gravitate your love, your gentleness, your consideration, your playfulness, your audacity to dream. Give that magic to the pieces of you that are hardest to hold. These pieces ask you to live, to thrive, to be loved by you just as it is. These pieces are asking you for permission to live, to thrive, to be loved by you just as it is. This is recovery. This is healing. This is for you. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim release to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to let the oppressed go free. Ashe and amen. Who is still on? I know people have come and go, so I don't know who's still on. Can you say something in the comments? Say me or drop your tag. Oh, hey, how are you? So what I did today was that for a long time, years before COVID, I was trying to find a very urban way, a very non-religious way, a very uninstitutional way, like to have church online. And but at the time that I wanted to do that, I didn't know who I was called to. I didn't know that I was called to do healing work. I just didn't know, right? So over the last 4 or 5 years, I've been coming into alignment with my authentic self. And I just had this idea to host, this is my first time doing this, to host like a poetic type of service via Instagram on live on Saturdays. I'm not a 7-day Adventist, but I do honor the Sabbath, right? And because on Sunday is when I attend everybody else's service online. So I want to do something Saturday at noon in the form of a poetic style. When I was going through it, I was thinking, okay, this could have been done better. I could have lengthened this out. So I was just, seeing all the spaces for greater alignment, in this liturgy that I created. So I don't know what point you came in, but if you have any questions or concerns or any feedback, like, I would love to be in dialogue. And what I wanted to do when people recognize that I'll be on here consistently every Saturday, because I want to do this every Saturday, between each poem I want to open a space up for dialogue, right? So that people can understand. Oh, thank you. I'm glad that you received it. So I don't know what this is going to be, but I'm really excited about it. So I can't wait to do it again and perfect it by aligning deeper with whatever this is that Spirit has given me. So at the beginning, I poured a libation, and I was pouring libation throughout the liturgy. So is it anything that you want me to pour water for? You're a healer, so my assumption is that you know what a libation is. But if you don't, I can explain it to you. Do you know? And what level are you? Okay, Ashe. Ashe. Oh, nope. All right, so sis, if Spirit is willing, I will see you next Saturday, and hopefully I'll see you. So I have a question about that, right? I was doing like before COVID, I was doing like open mics with people who wanted to testify about trauma, and I had hey Kyle, I had an individual that was there that said, and I can't never pronounce it right. It is okay. I'm not gonna try. But she was doing the same healing practices that you were, and she said that she was a level 2. Are you all sensitives? Because like during the event, she had to go home, and she she said she vomited, that she threw up, and she said that she really didn't align with some of the rituals I was doing. It was another form of libation that I was doing. So I was trying to wonder, are you guys highly sensitive, or like what was that about? I know you probably can't give me full detail because you don't know the girl, know her experience, but I was just curious about that. Like, are you all considered to be those sensitive healers? Cal, how did your thesis go? It's energy healing, so we can be sensitive to others' energy, but we do our own protective work, and it's not an issue. Okay, I'll show. Well, thank you, sis, for attending. I hope to see you next Saturday. Peace.